3 must-read books for cleaning business owners. So I'm a big believer that the way to really grow successful businesses, not only in the cleaning industry, is by learning from what other people have done who've had success building them beforehand. In this video, I'm going to take you through 3 must-read books. I've read many hundreds of business books over the years since starting my own business. I'm going to save you the time and distill and pick out those 3 that I think will have the biggest impact for your business. So let's jump straight into it. So all these 3 books you can find on Amazon. The first book is the Emyth Revisited by Michael Gerber. This is an absolutely fantastic book. It is a great manual in terms of how you transition yourself from being a business owner who is performing the work, a business operator, versus a business owner who is managing the business. And those 2 things are very, very different because particularly in the cleaning industry, most people get started setting up and growing a business, a cleaning business, by actually doing some of the cleaning themselves at the start. And they may have some clients, they'll get busier and busier, get more client inquiries, and then at that stage they will start hiring people, and then they will start to have other people in the business and then step back into more of a managerial role. So the E-Myth really looks at the importance of transitioning from someone who is doing the actual work, generating the revenue directly, to becoming someone who is more in a more of a management position. And one of the things that he says is that if the business depends on you, you really have a paid job. You don't own a business, you have a job. So you really need to set up the systems and structures to make sure that the business can run in effect without you. And when you get to that position, you have a really, really valuable asset, because most businesses are bought. If you're thinking further down the line, most times businesses are bought when the business can effectively run without the business owner, the founder. That is when you really have a valuable asset. And this is really what Michael talks about in his book. How do you set out these systems? How do you set out these processes? And how do you move from doing the work yourself to moving into more of a managerial role? And really it boils down to identifying those systems, those key systems and processes, taking it out from your head and putting it down on paper. Because one of the most common issues and challenges I come across is that a business owner will have in their mind how to deal with all the different things, that the day-to-day tasks that happen in their business. It could not only be things around the technicalities of cleaning, what sort of cleaning products do you use, how do you wipe a countertop, those types of things, but it would be also things like if you have a new client inquiry, how do you price those jobs, how do you confirm with that client, how do you send reminders and follow-ups, and all those types of things. And often at the start, because you as the business owner are doing all of these things, it's all in your head. And this is where things will often feel a bit chaotic. You may feel a bit overwhelmed because you're trying to do all this stuff. You're trying to recall, how did I do this last time? Do I need to change it at all? But by actually getting what's in your mind down onto paper, this is really a huge step in terms of how you move into becoming more of a manager in your business. And it's no surprise that as you step away from the day-to-day running of your business, if you're doing less time cleaning, you spend more time working on the business rather than in the business, that is when your company growth will really start to accelerate. If you're spending more time in figuring out how do I bring in more clients, how do I run my marketing more effectively, how much, which channels do I use, inevitably this means that your business is going to grow. You're going to have more time, more headspace to invest in these types of things. So getting down all these key systems and processes onto paper is a big step. And this is really one of the core premises in his book. I know in my business, the way I looked at it and the way I tell others to look at it is to bring up a Microsoft Word document or a Google Doc, and over the course of a week, just try to note down all the key things that you do in your business. So it doesn't need to be in a huge amount of detail. I sent this client this specific estimate, priced it in this way, but it could be things like priced a new inquiry, or followed up with a cleaner regarding a complaint, or tested this marketing channel, or tweaked the specific part of our website. It can be all those types of things. Over the course of the week, get all those things together. What you'll find is the majority of those things that you do every week will be similar, will be repeated, and it will be, really around the 80-20 rule. So, most of the time, the same things will come up time and time and again. So once you have this list of key processes in your business, that's when you need to start the next step, and that's where you start to categorize these processes. So you can group all the things related to new client inquiries in one group. You could have another grouping where you are dealing with existing client jobs. It could be dealing with complaints, or adding more time, or dealing with feedback. You might have another category where you're looking at cleaning recruitment, maybe another category about how you're dealing with your existing staff. Maybe you've got some great top performers, maybe you've got some cleaners that are maybe struggling more. How do you deal with all those types of things? How do you deal with feedback? So all these different tasks should start to be categorized within their own grouping. And really the goal that you want to get to is that for every single one of these main tasks that is done in your business every day or every week, you want to have a step-by-step process of how you deal with it. So client complaint comes in. What's the first step? Message the client back to understand a bit more. Maybe the next step after that is to follow up with a cleaner. Maybe the step after that is to then come up with some sort of options and resolution. Do you give money back, or do you send a free cleaning, or how do you deal with it? There should be a clear step-by-step process. And what you'll find is that as the business owner, because you have what is in your head down on paper, actually you'll feel less burnt out, less exhausted, because you can simply just refer to your document to see what the step-by-step process is. And this can evolve, you can tweak this, you can improve it as the business evolves and matures. So having this operations manual is critical. And once you have that in place, this is when you can really start to work on the business rather than in the business. You can bring on a virtual assistant to help manage parts of that operations manual. Maybe you can get them to deal with some of your new client inquiries. And then maybe once they prove themselves, you can get them involved with the recruitment, things like that. And what you'll find is that once you have this manual in place, and once you have VAs and other people helping you, it will just give you more time to basically spend in terms of thinking about how you grow your business. And that is really when things will accelerate. And it's at that stage that you will be building your business as an asset. An asset might be something that another person might want to buy from you, or, on the other side, because you're not involved in the day-to-day business, you're simply managing the business, you'll be able to take out a good income without a huge amount of time. And you're getting more towards, the idea of passive income. Obviously, running a cleaning business will never be completely passive, but if you have a team running the operations for you, then you have a really, really valuable asset. So this book really talks about those main themes, how you set up those structures, how you set up those systems. And as I said, the evolution of a cleaning business owner typically starts with the cleaning business owner maybe doing some of the cleaning, doing lots of the client management, but you want to evolve to that position where you're out of the field, you're managing operations, and ideally you have VAs that are doing the day-to-day operations, and you're effectively, running your key performance indicators to check that the business is still on the right road. So a fantastic book. This would be the first one that I would focus on, Emyth Revisited by Michael Gerber. The second book is Profit First by Mike Malkovich. Another fantastic book. I remember when I first read this book, it sort of blew my mind because I never really thought about business in this way. I always thought that, as a business owner, you had to find clients to pay you money, you had to pay various costs out of your business, and then you had this profit. At the end of the day, you wanted to try and maximize that profit, and that was always the way it had to be. You wanted to try and maximize your revenue, try and minimize the cost, but keep the business growing at this, at a good rate, and hopefully generate a nice income for you, particularly when you thought about how much time and money was going into the business. But profit first really, it completely flips the way that you think about business. And I really, really like the way, the structure that he lays out in his book. And essentially what it says is that first and foremost, a business should be working for you as the business owner. The profit that comes out at the end of the day shouldn't be a byproduct of the operations of the business, you serving clients, you paying out suppliers. The profit should really be one of the first things that comes out. So your client pays you revenue. What profit first says is actually, after the client pays you revenue, the next amount of money that comes out will come to you as the business owner as profit. And what remains effectively is the amount of money that you need to run the business. So it completely changes things. It says that profit that is generated isn't a byproduct of everything else. The profit comes out first, and you have to run the rest of your business with what remains. So there's a fair amount of detail that goes into setting something like this up. And for many people, the first question that they'll ask is, well, that's all well and good, but if there's not enough money to run the business, I have no business, I can't serve my clients. And that is a very valid question. That is certainly something that I thought about, when I was reading through the book to begin with. But the way that he talks about it is that you want to go at it on a step-by-step process. What is important at the beginning is to have a good understanding of where the main costs are out of the business. What is a typical profit margin? So the profit margin is your profit divided by the revenue that is generated. What are the main expenses that come out of your business? Obviously, in the cleaning business, the main one will be your cleaning staff. What is your labor cost? Is it 50% of your revenue? Is it 40%? Is it 60%? Many people do not know these numbers and how these numbers have changed over previous months. It's really, really important when thinking about the profit first analogy to have this profit and loss statement in your mind. You can look further down, maybe you have a VA. What is the percentage of the revenue that you pay out for VAs? What is the percentage of your revenue that you pay for marketing, for recruitment? And the reason why it's important to look at it in terms of percentages is then that means that you can take that same structure, that same approach as you grow your business. So if those percentages hold true at 15K a month in revenue, when you go up to 30K, you can use the same percentages. You know that you'll probably be spending the same amount of revenue, percentage revenue on your cleaners, but you'll also know that actually I need to bump up my marketing spend. My VAs will probably be more busy, so I'll need to pay them more, or maybe I need to get an additional part-time VA as well. So the percentage analogy works really, really well as you grow the business. So once you have that first step nailed down, the next step is just to take some very, very baby steps in terms of thinking about how you improve this. And this is where most people go wrong. They may say, okay, I've got a 15% profit margin at the moment. So I'm making $10,000 in revenue. I'm only making $1,500 in profit. That's nowhere near enough. I need to double it. It needs to go to 3K. And if you use the profit first approach, take your 10K that's come in from your clients, and then straight away you take your 3K, you'll find that there isn't enough money left over in your business to run your operations. However, if you start off and you say, okay, we have a 15% profit margin, what we're going to try and do is go to 17.5 in the next few months. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take that 10K in revenue, we'll take out 1,750, which would be 17.5, and then we're going to try and look at the rest of the business and see, can we make any savings on the expenses level? And what you'll find is that by going from this step-by-step baby approach, you can identify these savings often pretty easily at the start. You may have some software subscriptions that you don't really use, maybe you've forgotten about, or maybe you can download those subscriptions and pay slightly less. Obviously, the other way to look at it is that, you may keep your expenses at the same level, but if you bump up your prices slightly more for your clients, then that means you've got a bit more buffer. You could maintain your expense level, but because you're getting more revenue in, you're able to expand from 15% profit margin to 17.5%. So the baby steps approach works really well. You can make little incremental gains on the revenue side and on the expense side. And what you'll find is that, if you improve it from say 15% to 17.5%, maybe the next month you can try and shoot for 18% or 19%. Maybe you don't get there exactly, but you can certainly start to make these small improvements. So this is a really, really fantastic framework. It's something that I use in my own business today. And I really, really like this because the cleaning industry, unfortunately, isn't an industry that is inherently profitable. It's certainly not a software business where we're getting 30%, 40% profit margins. It is a business where you can generate a great income, but you need to be on your costs, on your pricing to get to that level. If you're not, I see it very, very often that you can find that you are a business owner that has a relatively large business in terms of your revenue, but maybe you're making very, very small profit margins. And we absolutely don't want to get into this position. A business primarily is there to generate us an income. And by using this profit first analogy, it ensures that we get paid up front, and it forces us to run the business by being focused on the expenses and our pricing. I think it's a fantastic analogy, a great book. So Profit First by Mike Malkovich. The third and final book is another book by Mike Malkovich. It's called The Pumpkin Plan. This follows on from a lot of the things that I talk about on other videos on my channel. And that is really the idea with the Pumpkin Plan is that when you look at your business, you will be serving lots of different types of clients. You will be putting effort into clients that are higher maintenance clients. Maybe they're not happy, maybe they have feedback, maybe they're following up after every single cleaning. And you'll have other clients on your books, those that you never hear from. Maybe they're happy, maybe they're not. They all generate, potentially the same amount of revenue, but you have clients that suck up a lot of your time. Maybe you don't enjoy managing them. And you've got other clients that just seem to be happy. They just want you in cleaning their home. They're happy, they like their cleaner. You hear very little from them. And what the Pumpkin Plan says is that when you are looking at growing your business, if you invest more time in your ideal clients and spend less time on those clients where you are not getting the return, maybe they're sucking up your time, or maybe they're not as profitable as your other clients. If you spend more time on the better quality clients in your business, inevitably this will mean that your business prospers. It will grow more quickly, it will be more profitable. And this is the idea of the Pumpkin Plan. You identify the big pumpkins, the areas where we're getting big returns, and that is where you want to water those pumpkins to make sure that they grow bigger and grow stronger, and ignore the weeds, ignore the ones that aren't prospering, ignore the ones that are sucking the life out of your business. And this, as I said, is something that I talk about a lot on my channel, and it is really related to the idea of the 80-20 rule. It's something I think about in every facet of my business. So the 80-20 rule, for those of you that don't know, will say that, 80% of your problems will come from 20% of your business, or 80% of your profit will come from 20% of your clients. You can use this 80-20 rule across your business. So with that in mind, if we think that 80% of our issues with client management come from those 20% of our clients, what would our business look like if we didn't have to service those 20%? Instead of spending 80% of our time focused on trying to make those 20% of clients happy, what about if we use that 80% and put much more money into those clients that we never really hear from, that seem to be happy? What about if we arrange for some gifts to be sent to them every so often. Maybe they're celebrating a birthday or there's some celebration. Maybe we drop off a bottle of champagne or we drop off some chocolates. Or maybe every couple of weeks we'll give them a call, just a courtesy call to see how they're doing. Or maybe we spend time with the clients, the cleaners, to try and figure out how can we do something more that will delight this customer more. What you will find is that the payoffs of spending more time, the same time with those clients, your ideal clients, and taking it away from your clients which aren't as happy, it's just going to give you a much bigger payoff in your business. So this is really what the Pumpkin Plan is talking about. He's got a great analogy in the book where he calls the desert island question. If you had to take one client from your business to the desert island and to serve them forever, which client would it be? And that is often who your ideal client would be. Particularly in our business, it'd be things like, are they happy with their service? How needy are they? How much follow-up do they give? Do they pay on time? Do they refer similar friends and family to us? Do the cleaners like working for them? You need to think about all these different facets to come up with the idea of your ideal client. And you want to find other clients like that in your business. You want to focus more time, and you want to think about letting go those clients that are sucking up the majority of your time, those that aren't particularly happy, those that always seem to pay late, those that always seem to be complaining. And this is really where focus becomes such an important part of growing your business. There's only 24 hours in the day. We need to spend our time and resources very smartly to really grow our business. And by doubling down on those clients where we know we're getting very happy clients, we know we're getting a great return, that is really going to be how we get your business accelerating. A lot of these books I talk about efficiency, the Emyth, that talk about efficiency, automation, processes. When we can take this to the next level is where we start bringing in interesting software. If we take these themes and ideas and then use software and technology within our cleaning business, we're just going to put ourselves massively ahead of the competition. We're going to be more profitable. We're going to be able to run and grow our business with fewer staff. Ultimately, it'll mean that we have more money in our pockets at the end of the day. So in this next video, I'm going to talk about the top 5 apps that I use in my cleaning business. It's a great stepping stone from the ideas that we brought about and talked about in this video. If you layer that on with software and technology, you'll end up running a really, really successful and high-grade cleaning business. So I'll see you guys in the next one.